He's in the waiting room. How you doing, David?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
All right, this is exciting. This is so just a couple of things to everybody in chat right now.
Especially
Um,
you flat earthers out there. Listen up.
well, flat earthers and the roundies. Listen, uh, I invited Dave to come on because I find his information valuable. He's got a lot of good information, a lot of great points. And I really wanted to have just a nice conversation with him tonight, give him an opportunity to put his information out there. You guys make up your own minds. I'm not going to tell you which way you should lean. It's truly up to you guys. But what I'm asking for is for all of you guys in chat just to be kind to one another. It's okay to have discussions and to go back and forth and try to prove points, but just remember, same rules apply tonight as they do any other night. If you're disrespectful, you'll be asked to leave or ushered out. So please just be nice to one another. This is really great information. And I'm going to tell you the one thing that I'm stuck on is when Dave talks about being lied to in the government and all the other stuff. So that's something that I pay close attention to because I feel like we've been lied to for a very long time. So, with that being said, David, welcome to LWN. It is a pleasure having you, sir. Um, Go ahead and start wherever you'd like.
Earth is flat. Changed my mind. Here's the thing, and the way I start is when I first heard about flat Earth, I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I refused to watch any videos. Everybody's heard me say it a million times, so I'll keep it short. I refused to look at it, but then I went in with a closed mind trying to debunk it, and that's how you become a non-glober. Now, is the Earth flat? There's hills, there's valleys. It's a topographical plane. Is there proof that it's not a ball 24,901 miles around? Absolutely, right? Because a ball is required to have a physical horizon, but we proved that there is no physical horizon. It's optical. And once you start seeing all of these things that show you that the ball is a lie, then you have to realize there's a major lie here. And then, as you said, why the lie? What difference does the shape of the Earth make? I still have to go to work tomorrow. That's an ingrained message that everybody says. That's done by design. That's done by programming. And it's not the shape that matters. It's the lie that matters. It's what this place is, where you are, who you are, the power that we have. They don't want us to know any of that because their reign of power would be finished if everyone in the world knew the truth of this world. So that's why this is the biggest, most important lie of all time. With all of the stuff that's going on in the world, all the insanity, the main reason they get away with it is because people are lost in space, spinning out of control.
Okay. I don't have any questions for you right off the bat. I'm interested on where you're going to start, and then the questions will come. I promise.
Yeah, and before the show, you told me, I said gun to your head, flat or round. You said definitely round, but then you followed that up with, I've watched a lot of your videos, Dave, and I'm like, okay, why does he still think the Earth is a globe then? So can we start? Can I put you on the spot? If you don't, we can take it another way. What's your number one reason you think the Earth is a globe? Besides, somebody told me.
Like just the photo behind you alone doesn't do enough for me to prove that the Earth is flat. I've got friends.
I'll go with you there.
Okay. So I've got friends in the military that have been up pretty high in the sky. And I know that I've seen videos all over YouTube where, man, there's this really cool guy that comes on. He says he's in a plane. He goes up to the cockpit and he asks the pilot, Earth flat or round? And the pilot turns around with a big smile and he says, of course, flat. So I've seen all those videos, and then I have friends that have been in the military. They've been up high and they said, listen, I have seen where the curvature of the Earth. So that's where I get some of it is people in my close circle, they don't have anything to prove that it's flat. So I am a round Earth believer at this point.
Okay, so when people say they've seen the curvature, They say they've seen it from an airplane, and then we show them, well, we've sent balloons up to 120,000 feet and there's no curvature. Then Neil deGrasse Tyson moves the globe post again and goes, oh, you have to be higher than Felix Baumgartner, when he did the Red Bull space jump, because it looks flat from up there. So they're constantly moving the globe post. I don't know if your military guys have been up that high. I doubt they have. I don't know any planes that can fly that high, but it looks flat. But here's the thing. We see curvature. We do. Absolutely. Flat earthers see curvature. And the way it happens is we see in the same direction, the same distance in all directions. So if I'm seeing 1 mile, 50 miles, 100 miles, I don't care how far it is, the sky and the ground come together, create an optical illusion that we call a horizon. It's just the vanishing point, and we see in the same distance in all directions. So if we flip that over so you can see it from a person's point of view, this is the limit of our vision, is the tip of each one of those arrows. Okay, so if you draw a tangent line, you'll see this curvature here, and that's because you can see farther into the sky than you can on the ground, because of the angular, just the way everything comes together. The higher up something is, the farther you can see. So a glober will look at this and go, there's curvature of a ball. No, that's just the curvature that you see. You see in a circle. If your vision was a rope coming from between your eyes, you swing that rope around and it's going to scribe a big giant circle. And that's the limit of your vision. But our programming says, oh, that's a sphere.
Okay.
So
still not sold.
Okay, well, but so I wouldn't call testimony from someone said I saw the curve from an airplane as anything, because I'm just showing you what they're seeing. So
okay.
that's hearsay at best, but it's perfectly explainable. The other thing is, if we're on a ball 24,901 miles around, like they tell us, that would mean a 6 foot tall person standing at the edge of calm water should see a physical horizon at a set distance. And that distance is only 3 miles, because on the globe, with globe math, the drop is 6 feet at 3 miles. So just like Austin Wissett says, if a pregnant woman runs her finger down her belly, at one point she can't see her hand anymore because it goes beyond the curvature. There's that physical curvature. But we can see things so far away that the radius, now the radius, the center of the earth to the tip of the earth. So here's the curve of the earth, and you have your radius, which is just under 4,000 miles. Okay, that's what they tell us the radius is. No one knows how the hell they got it. We can see things that would require a radius of 270,000 miles or more. Okay, so the earth is either hundreds of times bigger than they're telling us, which there's still a problem with that, because there's still curvature even at that size, or it's flat. So I'm going with flat. We can see too far. Okay.
I got a question right off the bat.
Just so people understand, this is a curved hallway. If you walked around that corner, no matter what kind of magnification I have, I can't see you. So we'll flip this over and pretend this is a smaller model of the Earth. If you went down that hallway, I could zoom in with the Hubble telescope, and I couldn't zoom you in because there's a physical horizon here, an actual physical horizon. But in reality, we can see things that look like they merge into the horizon, but they're not. It's just compression and perspective. Go ahead.
Yes, and I've heard you talk about compression and perspective on every one of your videos. So
right.
Here's my question, and this one is an important question because I'm going to like the answer you're going to give me. Obviously, we were all taught in school that the Earth was flat back in the long time ago, and that Columbus proved that the Earth was round because he traveled around the Earth, and everybody said the Earth was flat and you're going to fall off the edge if you go too far. And so then I have also watched videos where up until like the 1920s, they were still teaching the Earth was flat. So why did they change it from flat to round?
Great question. So, you saw my my Ruth video, right, where I was talking to Ruth, a 102-year-old woman,
Yes,
and
I seen that one.
yeah,
Yes.
and she was taught the Earth was flat in the 1920s, and we found all sorts of other information, other countries, Croatia, teaching it all through the 1930s. I also saw some recent information that showed here in the United States in the 1950s and even into the early 60s, most schools were teaching both flat and round as
Okay.
possibilities. And then all of a sudden, they just took flat Earth away like it never existed. They Mandelaed it, if you will. And it's just removed from possibilities. The story of Aristophanes was stuck into our lessons. You know, Aristophanes with his sticks and shadows, right?
Mhm.
You know the Aristophanes story,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
which is ridiculous because he has to assume parallel rays. No one's ever seen parallel rays, and even if he was able to do the impossible experiment that he did on his ball, it works on a flat Earth. No shadow, shadow, same math, sphere, but obviously flat. So again, bad data. Any calculation, whether it's good math or not, comes up with a bad answer. It comes up with a non-proven answer. So where was I going with that?
Well, my question is why? Why did they take flat Earth away and
Mhm.
only promote the sphere?
Would you though? So let me ask you a couple things. Um, what do you think of the governments that are running the world? Good people, bad people?
No, if
Okay,
you've watched this show, you know my opinion of that.
okay. So let's put them in another category: bad people or evil people.
Yeah.
Okay, we're
We'll go
going.
with the E.
We're
We'll go with the
so
E.
evil people or satanic bastards. Okay.
Well, I won't say they're all that way,
No,
but I can.
not there. Never is there anybody. Never is it all of anybody. I get it,
Yeah.
but so this helio sinister trick is a satanic agenda, right? If you look at all of the numbers, the way things work out, um, the Earth is tilted at 23.4 degrees. Well, 23.4 degrees off of 90 is 66.6 degrees. The Earth is going around the sun at 66,600 miles an hour, right? There's all of these 666s that just keep on showing up. So
Okay.
that's interesting. I'm like, is that just the way our world works, or was this done on purpose? But the idea is, and the I'm just trying to think of the best way to say it. What they don't want is they don't want people figuring out what power they have. They want people feeling like they're insignificant, floating through an infinite universe on a speck of nothing and are unimportant. They want us feeling like we're running out of land. Well, every family in America could have a half an acre in Texas, okay? Or maybe it's every person. I forget. But whatever. So there's plenty of land. They want us to feel like we're running out of water. There's infinite water. They want to feel us like we're running out of fossil fuels. One, we shouldn't be using them. Two, they're abiotic. All the oil wells that were empty are now full again. They want us not knowing that there was an advanced civilization here before this realm, before this round in history. And we can get into that a little bit if you want. But they want us feeling insignificant. And the number one thing they don't want us in is in a situation, in a position where we have no choice but to acknowledge that there is a creator. Okay. Before I discovered flat Earth, I was pretty, I guess atheist was the best term. I would say I was a little spiritual, but I believed, lightning struck and turned an amoeba into a monkey that had a retarded baby and it became a human. Okay. I believed all of that nonsense, and all of that is to make us feel insignificant, not special. Did I get into flat Earth to feel special? Yeah, sure. I got into flat Earth to be ousted by everybody, to lose half of my friends, and half of my brother and sister don't talk to me. We never even discussed flat Earth, but nobody gets into flat Earth to feel special because everyone treats us as like special ed. All right, but it's because we all want the truth, and once you see the truth, and once you understand the difference that it makes. People say, what difference does the shape of the earth make? And it doesn't make a difference. All right. It 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 makes you realize they don't want us realizing, as I said, that we're at the center of creation, that there's free energy. They don't want us knowing who we are. They don't want to, they're hiding the creator. Okay. They're hiding our true power. Nobody has power over us. Everyone in this world that's like, oh, I'm so oppressed. You know, they're not letting me. The only power anyone has over you is in your imagination. Right. And, you know, with all of our rights being taken away, people are like, you know what, if I just do this and that, I'll have the right to whatever, XYZ. Well, we already have the right. It's inalienable. All right. And so somebody like saying, oh, you can't have it until you do this. If you agree to that, you're just signing up for their nonsense. So this is the reason. And people go, well, you know, what difference does it really make? And the thing is, NASA gets $63 million a day. Do they really get $63 million a day? I say no, they don't, because they don't need money. They're taking $63 million a day away from us. Okay. All of this money that's taking, all of this extortion, which we call taxes, it's being just taken away from us. It's being used to control us. Money's fake. Everybody knows that at this point. That's how I woke up looking into what money was and what the Federal Reserve was, right? That's how they control us. And if you think that, you know, all of these fantasies about going to Mars and spending all this money, you know, this is what they're having us dreaming about, and this is what's going on here on Earth. What difference does it make? It makes all the difference in the world. These satanic bastards, and I'm being very nice when I'm talking about the elite this way, these satanic pedophile bastards, okay, are basically, you know, controlling our minds by putting us in a prison, right? I won't go any farther than that because we are on YouTube, and, you know, God bless all of the rulers and Dr. Fraudzi, Emmanuel Fraudzi himself. He's the greatest doctor in all of the world.
Okay. Well,
so there you go.
I understand.
They're laughing at us.
Yeah, I understand that part of it. I guess the only other question that I have, I was hoping that you'd go a little further. Well, I guess one question would be, I Googled the speed of sound, the knots and all that. There's a lot of sixes in there for sure, which is interesting, to say the least, very interesting. But numerology, that's the new big thing out there nowadays. So does numerology fit into this? Does numerology, does it prove that the Earth is flat or round? Do you know anything about that?
That's you know, I'm not the expert at numerology, but signs and symbols and numbers rule the world. It's not the words, although they use our words to cast spelling, right? But signs and symbols and numbers rule the world. Now, do all the elite go, wait a minute, before we put out the Omnicron, whatever, what's a good, oh, it spells moronic, perfect, or it's a 33 number. I don't know if they actually do that, or if this is just the way our reality works. For any of you that are wondering what the hell I'm talking about, go listen to Quantum of Conscience. Find his channel. I don't think he's on YouTube anymore, but he talks about the nature, the fabric of this reality, and then how these things just happen. If you notice, like, myself, I see 1111s all the time. Everywhere I go, I see 1111. I see these numbers that just constantly show up in my life. And I'm wondering, like, is that just because I'm looking for them? So how it exactly works, I don't know. But yes, numerology is huge. It's huge to the elite. If you look at the New York event, okay, 93 is a very special number to them. 93 is like a death number. Well, if you remember, Flight 93 supposedly crashed in Shanksville, right? Flight 11 and 175 hit the two tall buildings. I'm trying not to say anything that'll get us flagged, but if you add 175 and 11 together and divide by two buildings, it's 93. Is that a coincidence? Did they plan that? I think they did. All right. So yes, numerology is huge, huge.
Okay. So my next question is this. If the Earth is flat, and I know we were taught this in school, but when you watch documentaries, you watch Discovery Channel, you watch science channels and stuff, and they look through the big telescopes, why does it seem like all the other planets seem to be round? Are they round? Are they round? Are the other planets round? Because I've seen all the videos that you put out there, but if
Yeah.
they're round, how come the Earth is flat? I guess my question would be.
So the only thing that we could say about the lights that we see in the sky that we call stars, planets, and moons and whatever else is that they're lights, right? We all can agree that they're lights, otherwise we couldn't see them. So how big are they? We don't know. How far are they? We don't know. What are they made out of? We don't know. Okay. These are they're telling us there's these rocky worlds out there when in fact that's not the case at all. Okay, rocks don't float in fake space, right? And none of that makes any sense. And if you look up, just put in your Google searches to alert you every time say NASA planet, new planet or something, you're going to find new articles every day. And never once will you get a planet that looks as good as these frying pan bottoms. Okay. These are the bottoms of frying pans, right? And all of the stuff that they give you is nonsense. Just the other day, they did some work on the Hubble telescope, and they showed us this is a picture from 10 years ago or whatever. They showed us they said they got the Hubble, they resurfaced it, they got it working, and then they showed us a picture. They showed us the same picture that they showed us from 10 years ago. Okay? I mean, this is a joke. Here on Earth, and I watched actually National Geographic about these giant telescopes that they have down out south, and they take these deep, long exposures of deep space to see the deep field. You know the deep field picture I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Okay. And they say they have to take these time-lapse pictures to collect the light. And these giant telescopes are on these cement pads that are like 10 feet thick, massive pads. And the operator walks around with socks on because any vibration could ruin the whole picture. Okay. Are you with me?
I'm right. Following you.
Any vibration could ruin the picture. Well, are they forgetting that the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, orbiting at 66,600 miles an hour? Are they forgetting that that we're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour? How do all of those motions not matter? To make it worse, the Hubble telescope is mirroring all of those motions, and it's moving an extra 17,500 miles an hour around the Earth as it falls around the Earth. How the hell is that thing taking long time-lapse exposures, moving in 4 different directions at speeds you can't even fathom? Okay.
It's great question.
It's a great question. It's a great point that no one ever thinks about. But when you think about it, you go, they can't. It's impossible. Even a 5-year-old could say, no, that's impossible. So they're lying. If NASA's lying about one thing, they're lying about everything. So spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, right? Orbiting at 66,600 miles an hour, chasing the sun at 100 and about 500,000 miles an hour. Okay, let's put that into perspective. You've seen this, but I'm going to show it to you. Maybe you haven't seen it. This is the hypersonic sled. It's going to go by at Mach 8.6. It's going to go again. Watch it again. Okay, we are chasing that sun. We're orbiting the sun 10 times faster than that. 10 times. And we're chasing the sun at 100 times faster than this. But when we go out into nature, this is what we see. Okay? This is impossible. Impossible. This is flat water. This Earth is not moving. It's perfectly still, because if it was even just spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, faster than the speed of sound, in a curved motion, with gravity changing with the sun and the moon and its direction, there's no way you could have a mirror lake. No possible way whatsoever. Right? And people just don't want to face it. This is perfectly stationary. Get a dinner plate, fill it with water, and try to walk around your house or go for a drive in your car. Okay, the water is not going to stay on the plate.
Yeah, I've heard that one. So here's my problem with that with the video that you just showed with the sun shooting through what is it? Is it fake space or is it real space?
The corkscrewing is that's the official story they tell us. That's what they tell us the Earth is doing.
That's never what I've seen in school or in the books. It was
right. They just show you this.
Sun. Correct.
But they forget to mention that the sun is moving at 500,000 miles an hour, and we're chasing it. right? This wasn't, they don't teach that in school. You know why? Because kids would go, bullshit. Am I allowed to say that?
Sure.
Okay. Kids would look at their teachers and go, I'm sorry, Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, you're making up stories. You're fibbing to us.
Yeah, we
okay?
were always
because
taught
that's
the
ridiculous.
School, the sun was basically stationary, you
right.
know, and we circled the sun, right? 365
yeah.
days.
They don't tell you the whole story because if you heard it, you'd go, bullshit. Okay.
Well, so if the sun was shooting through space, like what your picture just showed, then we would leave the Milky Way and go into other universes.
Well,
or
no,
how does that
we're
work?
going around the Milky Way. We're spiraling around the Milky Way. Okay. I mean, so and again, they throw numbers at you that your brain goes, well, I can't compute that. I have to trust the line guy in the bow tie. You know, he must know, right? But the distances to these stars are absolutely insanity. Okay. So if our sun, which is this ball right here, and the Earth is a tiny little BB next to this, right? That's what they tell us. So if I move the sun right over the clouds, and you look up in the sky, this is what you would see. The whole sky would be the sun, right? If I move the sun, if I moved our heliocentric sun right above us, and then if I moved it 93 million miles away, why does it get smaller? Perspective. It's getting farther away. It's getting smaller. So when I move it 93 million miles away, it becomes a size of a coin held at arm's length. Okay. So it went from the entire sky to the size of a coin held at arm's length just by moving it 93 million miles away. If I doubled the distance, how much smaller would that coin get? A lot smaller. Probably so small you couldn't see it. If you actually do the math, 3 times as far, its angular size is too small for your eye to resolve. At 3 times as far. Okay, let's make it 24 times as far. And at 24 times as far, that's 3 light hours. At 3 light hours, it is magnitudes farther than the human eye could possibly see it. And the brightness issue is another problem because every time you double the distance, it's 1/4 of the brightness. That's called the inverse square law of light. So at 3 light hours, you could not see our sun. They tell us Polaris. This isn't hard math. This is easy. It's 48 times bigger. Okay, so we'd have to make it 48 times farther. 3 light hours times 48 is 6 light days. Okay, Polaris, if it was 6 light days away, is provably, according to the size that they tell us, too small for your eye to resolve. But Polaris is not 6 light days away. It's 433 light years away. Just most people's brains just melt and go, oh, I have to trust Neil deGrasse Tyson, the failed actor, because I can't think of this. This is easy math. You could not see it. Forget the brightness issue, which is a huge issue. Well, just take that off the table. You couldn't see it, but people look up and we see all of these stars. We see everything. And there's no possible way that that's even a possibility, right? And so let's say, here's an example for the International Space Station, right? The International Space Station is about the size of a 747. You with me?
Yep.
A 747 at cruising altitude is tiny. Tiny.
I agree.
The International Space Station is 50 times higher. 50 times higher. All right. So here's a shot that was, whoops, what do we got there? Here's a shot where the International Space Station transited the moon. Now there's this whole program where you can take up your location, it's going to transit the moon or the sun. And when we heard about that as flat earthers, like, I don't believe it. And then Jaron from Jaronism, he did it, and some other people did it, and we actually photographed it. We're like, that's interesting. Well, we also photographed an airplane going across, and they both look about the same size. Well, we know the size of the airplane. We know the height of the airplane. It's about 5 miles. So whatever this is, if it's the same size as a 747, it's about 5 miles up. It's not the International Space Station. It's a parlor trick. Okay. We have an unconfirmed whistleblower from NASA that literally disappeared really quickly when he gave us a little too much information. Can't confirm it, but he says that the International Space Station we're fooled by it it's a B2 bomber, an old B2 bomber, where they changed it, they modified it, and lots of it, parts of the wings were made out of transparent material other than the strut, so you can see through it. And then the whole bottom was laced with covered with LED lights. And when you have these transits, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing an airplane with super bright lights on the bottom. That's why when you see the space station go by, if you ever have, it's bright. It's brighter than any star in the sky. It's the brightest thing in the sky other than the sun or the moon. And I watched it here in Connecticut. I saw it a couple times. And one time, boom, there it is. Took about 8 minutes to go across the sky. It was heading west. Was it heading west? Was heading, I think it was heading, I forget which way it was heading. It was coming from the south. It was kind of heading north, I think. Or maybe it was west. I forget the direction. I forget where it was. But 8 minutes, it should be over in California. It should be like 3,000, 4,000 miles away, right? But I can still see it, and people across the country can't see it. Just people around here can see it. So that's telling you it's closer, it's smaller, and it's moving much slower than they tell us. This right here is absolute proof that they're lying about the space station. They're lying about the space station. They're lying about space. They're lying about the moon landings. They're lying about the planet. They're lying about everything. They're lying about who you are.
Okay. I got a question I've been dying to ask you since
Please.
I first started watching your videos.
Okay.
Can you please talk about the weather balloons?
The weather balloons. Well, we're talking about satellites, right?
Correct. Yes. Satellites, weather balloons. Can you describe to everybody watching the theory that you have there for all that?
It's not a theory. NASA owns all of the big helium companies in the world. NASA is the largest consumer of helium in the world. NASA admits that they're launching tens of thousands of these things all the time. They can control their height electrostatically, so they can go up into a wind going one direction, down into another wind. So they basically can keep a satellite right over the same part of the country that they want for extended periods of time, well over a year. Right now, these things do crash now and then in places. And since everybody has a high def camera in their pocket, there's lots of videos of it before they get snatched up. Satellites are hanging from balloons. They're not falling around the world. They're not falling, over. Think of this. A geostationary satellite, that means it stays over the same plot of land. You know that satellites don't float. They're actually falling at the same rate as the Earth's curvature. So they theoretically just keep falling around the Earth, right? That's what an orbit is, right? Again, tell a fifth grader this and they'd be like, you're telling fibs, Mrs. So-and-so, okay? So we're spinning, and a satellite, it has to spin faster than the Earth because it's making a bigger circle just to stay over the same piece of land. We're orbiting, so it has to corkscrew with us, and we're chasing the sun, so it has to match all of those motions, all of those curving motions. And satellites never fall out of the sky. They never have any problems. They work forever, and they just never screw up. Am I allowed to say bullshit? I keep saying that, but that's the best answer, the best word for what's going on here. Okay.
So how many satellites are above the flat Earth then?
There's tens of thousands of them. So
how come nobody sees them? How come?
No, I've seen satellites, haven't you? Things that we think are satellites that are moving across the sky.
Yeah, maybe one every now and again. Yeah,
but I used to, when I go to the Caribbean, that was my favorite thing to do, is lay out at night and look up and go, oh, there's a satellite, and I track it. I'm like, cool, right? Here's a 747. There it is. The 747's up there. Can you see the engines on that 747 at cruising altitude?
No.
Okay, no. The engines are bigger than most satellites, probably double the size of most satellites, and satellites are 100 to 200 times farther away than this is. And you think you're going to see the light that's bouncing off of them? It's a joke. Look, Google photos of satellites in space, and all you're going to get is complete and total cartoons.
So I guess my question is these are all attached to balloons? Is that how this works with the satellites?
Well, they're not falling around the Earth like this on a corkscrewing Earth and just magically staying in their positions. And then satellites don't do what you think they do. Okay, they're not routing cell phone calls. They're not doing television pictures. Satellites are all of our communications are done with undersea fiber optic cables, which actually prove that the Earth is not a ball, because there should be a cable from Santiago to Australia, which are very close together on the bottom, but there's not. The cable to go to Santiago, from Santiago to Australia, goes all the way up into the north, all the way over and back down again. Makes absolutely no sense on a globe. Makes perfect sense on a flat Earth.
Yeah, which leads us into planes and their flight patterns, right?
Where do you want to go with that? I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many.
That's the one that I find very interesting, is the flight patterns of planes.
Yeah, and the emergency landings where they always land in a spot on a flat Earth map that's along the line from the origin to the destination. But on a globe, they're landing way, way out of out of range, out to another spot. Like this one here, it goes from New York to where was this? New York to Hawaii, and it landed in Seattle. Why the emergency? They weren't from here. They landed in Seattle, but if you look at where Seattle is, it's right here, right along the flight route. Okay, emergency landings happen all the time, and every time they prove that the Earth, that they don't make any sense on a globe.
That's what I'm talking about. You make some very valid points. Some of them I just can't argue. I'm gonna admit to that.
So here's the thing: as we go along, and your life here in this conversation, you could say, Dave, that's an interesting point, but it doesn't really prove either. Okay, put it in the either basket. Dave, that only makes sense on a flat Earth. That goes in the flat Earth basket. Nothing goes into the globe only basket. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. And that basket, you're holding an empty basket, right? Because you have an emotional attachment as a small child to the globe. We all do. I mean, all of our programming, Disney, Sesame Street, all of our cartoons, all of our movies, everything, Star Wars, it's all globe programming. It's to make it so it's a core belief that most people can't let go. I mean, you love movies, right? You love science fiction movies. We all do. Okay. They're all bunk. They're all bunk except The Matrix. Now that's a documentary. Okay. Is the new Matrix out yet?
I heard it's coming out here real soon.
Yeah. That's a good one. Emergency landing all the way up in Alaska. Why Alaska? Right? On a flat Earth, it's a straight line. Bam.
Hey, I can't argue you, Dave. I can't.
I know, but at the end of this, you're going to go, Dave, great arguments, but I still believe in the globe. Why? Give me one reason. Give me one reason. And if it's a good one, you get 3 Bitcoins. Okay. 3 Bitcoins for one proof of the globe.
I remember you putting that out there. I'm still just not sold yet. I'm not.
I get it because, here's a book. If you want a good book for Christmas, lulu.com, 16 emergency landings. I believe they're having a 20 or 30% off sale. Greatest book ever, coffee table book. It's also free online if you just want to download the PDF. But the book is the best because when you're sitting there on the couch and you look to the book, you're like, damn that guy, damn it. You're going to make me lose all my family and friends. The Earth.
Here's a good one.
Makes no sense.
Here's a good one. I saw this. This came across on Facebook or somewhere. I got a message. Can you explain to us how the moon works and how the lunar pole creates the ocean with high tide, low tide? Yeah, the tides.
Yeah. So the tides have nothing to do with the gravity of the moon. There's high tides and low tides in all different places on the Earth that aren't related to this gravitational force of the moon. However, there are some extremely high tides, at least where I am, when the moon is full. But think about this. In the heliocentric model, the gravitational heliocentric model, when there's a full moon or a new moon, what is the difference in gravity? The only difference in the heliocentric model is one is being lit up by the sun and the other one's not being lit up by the sun. Okay. So why are the tides bigger when there's a full moon? Is that, and I think the answer to that is this is an electromagnetic system. When the moon is powered up, it affects the salt water That's why there's only tides in salt water, because that's where the current of the electricity flows through the salt water. If you think about it, in the heliocentric model, there should be higher tides when there's a new moon, because the new moon's lined up with the sun and you have the gravity from the sun and the moon pulling on the water. But for some reason, the sun's gravity is very selective. The sun's gravity doesn't like to pull on water. It doesn't like to pull on moons. It only pulls on planets, and then planets only pull on their own moons, and they ignore everyone else's moon, right? And even though when all the planets line up, they never pull on each other. Everything works perfectly, so we can figure out where all the planets are going to be, all the moons are going to be, anytime in the future, and it works perfectly. But for some reason, with the world's best supercomputers, they can't model 3 bodies orbiting each other. They can model 2, but add a third body into an orbiting whatever model, and 3 bodies go into chaos mode, and no computer can figure out what it's going to do next. But somehow, our sun, that's 400 times bigger than our moon, and it happens to be 400 times farther, so they look like they're the same size, they line up and cause perfect solar eclipses every year. And every 18 years, the cycle of eclipses repeats itself. Okay? What are the odds of that? What are the odds of that? Right? And here's something you probably don't know. Maybe you didn't see this. This is your model. Ready? So this is the globe Earth, and this blue sliver here is a high tide. So if my head is the moon, I'm pulling the water away and creating a high tide. This is your model, okay? Your model, okay? But there's also a high tide on the other side of the Earth at the same time. And the answer to that is because the gravity from my moon head is pulling the Earth away from the water on the other side of the planet. This is the official story. Wait, there's more. Okay. And the tides don't move. The Earth rotates through the tides. Go ahead, say it.
That
say
I'm not aware of.
So. No. Now that you're aware of it, what do you think of it? It begins with a B. It has an S as the second word. Okay. Rhymes with pull. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not a qualified scientist, so that
is giving away your common sense for nonsense. You don't need to be a scientist to know that this is complete and total nonsense. Nonsense. You're giving up your common sense for nonsense.
Why do the tides work? Why did the tides work?
That is a great question. And if you go into my app, do you have my app yet? Probably not.
No, I didn't download
it. If you go into my app, and you hit the question mark, and then on the bottom here, it says, what about tides? And in here are a compilation of the best tide videos explaining what's going on with tides. All right. And again, there's massive tides in the north. There's less massive tides in the south. There's like almost no tide, like the Maldives on the equator. They're only like 2 feet of elevation above the water, and they never flood because the tide's less than a foot. But in Alaska, there's like 36-foot high tides. I mean, so some people think that the Earth inhales and exhales twice a day, and there's a great hole in the north, and it pushes the waters in and out twice a day. I can't confirm that or rule it out, but there's all of these spots all over the Earth that have no tide. Okay. We're in this incredible living system. We live here on Earth. We are part of this living system. Okay. And I don't believe that we can live off of this Earth. I don't believe, I don't believe that we can go, I think that we need to be here connected to this electrical system because we are electrical beings.
Okay. Here's a question I've heard asked a million times.
Go.
So if the Earth is flat, then why do planes traveling in a straight line? Why don't they run? Why don't they run
off the edge of the Earth?
Why can't I look over the side of the edge of the Earth into outer space or whatever you want to call it?
Do I have that as one of my things? Circumnavigation. Here we go.
Because I know that's a big question.
Yeah, and it's a very simple question. So here's the flat Earth. Right here at the center is the North Pole. It's a magnet. So here is my plane, my boat, whatever it is, and you see that the needle is pointing towards the north. So this right here at 90 degrees to north is west. I'm pushing this west, and west is making me turn to the north. Constantly have to correct to the north. Now I'm going east. East is not a straight line. Every straight line is actually south, right? East is a circle. So I could leave New York, wherever New York is, and I can go around east. Now, if I try to dead reckon west, which means do not correct to the north, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go west and I'm going to close my eyes. And I'm going to go straight. Immediately, I'm going south. South is every direction away from the center. All of these lines are south. Okay. East and west are circles. That's true on a globe. That's true on a flat Earth. But on a globe south of the equator, if you tried to go east or west, you'd have to correct to the south. But we have testimony from Navy captains, cargo ships that say they always have to correct to the north. And if I go south, I don't pop up over here. I just go south. And again, no one is allowed to go explore Antarctica, right? No one is allowed to, because of the Antarctic Treaty. You're familiar with the Antarctic Treaty, right?
I've heard of the treaty, yes, but so how do we explain the Russians and other people in the Antarctica? Are they down there hiding a big secret? There's all kinds of studies, supposedly, that has been going on in Antarctica for many decades, testing the ice and watching polar bears and all the other stuff. So it still doesn't explain to me why you can't fly off the flat Earth.
Cool story about Antarctica, bro.
Yeah. So why can you not fly off the Earth then? Because you said if you go south, you're gonna head
right
off the planet. So why can't we see the edge of it?
Because when you try to go south, you're not allowed to go past 60 degrees south. If you go past 60 degrees south, you will be intercepted by a Navy ship and drones. These are fishermen that were they're like, hey, let's screw it. Let's just go. And let me just jump forward a little bit here. So they went, and then all of a sudden, this Navy ship shows up, radios them, sends a drone after them. You're in restricted waters. Turn around immediately. Now, there's other stories of some explorers that got permission from their country to go there. They were threatened to be sunk. They were turned around. They were sent home, and then they were put in jail when they got home. And there, people say, well, how do they guard Antarctica? Well, there's buoys all around Antarctica that create a mesh network, right? Because they don't have satellites and they don't have ground, they don't have ground towers there. So there's a mesh network of buoys that don't allow people to go there. No one's allowed to explore the outer lands of Antarctica.
Okay. And you were going to take that to where were you going with that a minute ago before I asked you that question? You were going to talk about other parts of Antarctica, right?
I could talk about other parts of Antarctica. So anything beyond 60 degrees south, right? So this is the ice wall that, Globers will go, show me a picture of the ice wall. Here's a movie and 100 pictures of the ice wall. Okay. It's the shoreline of Antarctica. It's the shoreline of our world. All right. So this is our world is a giant pond. The shoreline that holds our water in is Antarctica. It's the highest land on Earth. And this pink line is about 60 degrees south. No one's allowed to go beyond there. And there's islands all the way around. There's 7 different islands that have crown controlled military bases on them, like the Falkland Islands. Remember that little war? Mm-hmm. And that's where these military bases are. And anyone that approaches Antarctica gets a ship sent out from one of those islands and they get turned around immediately. They don't want people going into the outer space. Interesting. Outer space. What is out there, right? Some people believe this is all there is. Some staunch, diehard Bible believers go, God's created the earth and there's no more. And the earth is just here. Well, maybe there's more. Maybe you're misinterpreting it, or maybe they're only talking about our world. Maybe there is, maybe there's other worlds beyond Antarctica. Maybe the world's set up like this, and there's extra land, extra territory, and extraterrestrial from the outer space. If they came in and visited us, bam, they're an extraterrestrial from outer space, just from a few thousand miles away. And if they flew in here on their anti-gravitic advanced free energy machine, it makes a lot more sense that they would crash in Roswell rather than going 25 trillion miles, the minimum distance, coming from outer space and then crashing in Roswell, if you believe that story.
Well, that's an interesting one for sure.
Yeah.
So why would they keep us from going to Antarctica? Why would they keep us from finding out that the Earth is flat and we can't make it to the very outer edges of the flat Earth? I guess I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that one. Why is it such a big deal that they keep that a huge secret?
Because if you go to Antarctica and have free reign, if they allowed us to use airships, that don't need a lot of fuel to go explore, we'd find out that we don't live on a globe. We'd find out that there's a creator. We'd find out that nobody has authority over us. We'd find out maybe that there's other free lands, right? With all the tyranny going on right now, people might just want to move at this point. There's a book called, if I go into the app and I click the books button, there's a book called The Iron Republic. Bam. This book is a story of people from the 1600s that left our world because they didn't like the tyranny that was going on, and they started an advanced civilization on some of these outer lands here. And then the story is a senator or not a congressman, a politician that was really fed up with the system, sold everything, bought a big ship, took a crew, was exploring Antarctica and found a passage through, was lost at sea for a month and finally saw land. They couldn't figure out where they were, and they pulled up and there was a city, an advanced city, different money system, different politics, different everything. And the story was that these people had left in the 1600s due to tyranny, right? Tyranny. Could you imagine that if there was tyranny, worldwide tyranny?
So on that map right there, where would the Bermuda Triangle be, and why are people getting lost there?
Yeah, the Bermuda Triangle. So the Bermuda Triangle is, where is it, right? The Bermuda Triangle is right where NASA launches their rockets. They all shoot out over restricted waters. They don't want any boats out there. And that's where they're crashing all of their airplanes. Whenever a rocket goes up, it cruises out right off and it crashes in the Bermuda Triangle, where they pick it up and they bring it back for a whole parade. But that's what's going on.
Project High Jump.
Project High Jump is when Admiral Byrd went supposedly, and again, we don't have access to all of this stuff. Admiral Byrd went to Antarctica, and where is it? The Antarctic Treaty. There it is. And he went out and he said, there's land beyond the poles. That's a problem on a ball. Bigger than the United States, filled with resources that no human has ever set eyes or foot upon. And all of a sudden they started the Antarctic Treaty. Well, Project High Jump was getting up over the wall and exploring Antarctica. That happened in the 1940s and 50s. As soon as he made that announcement on television, he died shortly after, and they created the Antarctic Treaty. So why did they create the treaty when we're fighting with other countries for resources and land and everything? And there's all of this untouched land. And, then they came up with, they're hiding alien bases. They're hiding all sorts of stuff. When Admiral Byrd did one of his interviews, he had this interesting map behind him, that's a clock, if you notice. Why is there a clock on a map that looks just like our flat Earth map? I don't know.
I know there's a lot of people. I haven't been able to pay attention to chat, but I've seen a couple of comments there in chat. A lot of good information. So where does God fit into this picture? Because you said you were atheist, or pretty much atheist, but once you found that flat Earth or Earth was flat, that you started believing in a creator, you started believing in God or a creator. So where does he fit into this picture?
Um, well, once you understand that we don't live on a ball and the Big Bang is nonsense, then you understand that you live in a created world. Therefore, there's a creator. Now, a lot of people get upset when I don't proclaim a specific God as the creator, because that's not my job to do. It's your job to figure that out. All I have to do is say, show you, prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's a creator, and then it's your job to figure out what your relationship with the creator is. And I don't condemn anybody for anything they believe, whatever they want. That's their journey. Some people may be here never to find the creator, or some people may find different creators. Maybe we're all right. Maybe it's all the same creator. I'm not laying any judgments. I'm not telling anybody, but once you understand there's a creator, it kind of lets you know that you have a lot more power than they want you to know. They want you to feel insignificant. They want you to feel like you're nothing, that when you die, you're going to become warm meat, and that's it. But when the reality is we're just having an experience here that's amazing. There's nothing to fear except fear itself. That's probably the only true statement ever made by any president. This place is absolutely amazing. Our history is incredible. Have you looked into mud floods at all? Into Tartaria?
No, haven't.
Okay. So this is not a theory. Okay. So if I back out of here, I go back to the web button, middle right, mud floods Tartaria. You hit that button, up comes, and we add new videos to this probably almost every day. And just start going through these videos, and then subscribe to the channels that you like and start watching that stuff. The question is, what happened? We can talk about that. But it happened. Something happened. There was an advanced civilization here in the 1800s, in the 1700s, so far advanced beyond what we have now. And it's like, well, what makes you say that? Go look at these cathedrals, these buildings, places like Angkor Wat's. Forget the pyramids. The pyramids is child's play compared to these other structures that they don't really teach you about in school. These are advanced civilizations that were here. And what happened to them? What happened to the Tartars? Right? There's a lot of information that the Freemasonry was made just to absolutely exterminate the Tatarians, right? So again, there's so much to learn here, so much to appreciate. But the bottom line is, what's the relationship with God and I think that was your question, and the flat Earth. It's because there's some verses in the Bible that basically say, summarized is, once you see my creation, you have no excuse in denying my existence, and that is what the evil devil worshiping Satanists that run our world don't want. They don't want you in that situation. Remember, Steve, I think it was Paul Harvey said, the greatest trick the devil ever did was to make you believe that he doesn't exist. Well, the greatest trick the devil did is to make you believe God doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I know what you're talking about there. Here's a question that one of everybody's favorite is, can you talk about the firmament?
Yeah, I wish I could. I mean, there's what is the firmament? Some people think,
yes.
If you look at the biblical stuff there that says it's made of molten glass, then you look at the Libyan desert glass, which someone says it's when the firmament cracked. Where am I looking for here? I had a good video. Oh, rockets. So all the NASA rockets, they shoot out. If you watch some of the recent SpaceX night launches, they look like they're skimming across some water. If you flipped it upside down, I told you that was a boat on the ocean, a speedboat, you'd be like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. You watch it, it looks like they're skimming across some water, trying to get through. So what is the firmament? It's either energetic, it could be solid. I personally think that it is there's a physical firmament, something you can knock on, whether it's frozen oxygen, whether it's glass, whatever it is. That's what I think. Other people think that there's nothing. that it's just, that there's waters above us. Now, if you look at a pot of water boiling and you look down at one of those bubbles on the bottom of the pot, and imagine yourself inside that bubble as a tiny little person. You're standing on a flat surface and you have a dome over you with waters above, and there's no physical barrier there. There's just pressure holding it, right? So if you look at if you look at like here, when do we get the most rain? We get the most rain when there's low pressure, right? A hurricane lets that water come in. That's super low pressure, right? So when we have these low pressure systems, rivers of water fall from the sky. I don't believe clouds are what they tell us. Clouds are moisture. We do get sprinkle from clouds, but these downpours are not just floating in the sky where airplanes can fly through them without hitting tons of water. I've been in some hurricanes and their water comes out of the sky. You literally think you're going to drown while standing, outside. There's so much water coming out of the sky. It's not just floating there. This is a multi-dimensional system that we don't fully understand in our 3D meat suits. That's my opinion.
Okay. Where do you want to go with it next, Dave? And then if you want, we can open it up to live calls.
Let's take some live calls. And before we do that, what's your number one reason that you think the Earth is a globe? And wait, before you say anything, I don't know is not a good answer. I believe is not a good answer. You have to give me something.
Okay, so far we're an hour into it pretty much, and I haven't seen what I would call 100% proof or evidence that the Earth is flat.
So let's say you and I went out and we had a great infrared super zoom camera, and we absolutely positively confirmed that we saw something that was 100, 200 miles away or whatever it is, and that there would be mountains of curvature. But we actually saw it. Would that help you? Or would you just yell refraction?
You're talking about your video of the boat out on the ocean, and you got the telescopic lens that zooms in on it. And if the Earth dropped, 6 feet every so many hundreds of feet or whatever.
It's not like that. It's an exponential. It's an exponential drop. But if you saw something like this, this is Mount Canigou. This is Illusia, France. We're looking out. Mount Canigou is 175 miles out. Now, from this height, using globe math, the top of Mount Canigou should be a mile below a physical curve. And this would be your physical horizon if you're a glober, because it has to be a physical horizon. But the light that's out hitting Mount Canigou isn't strong enough to push through 175 miles of air, because the air just becomes opaque. However, the sun migrates between the two tropics, and twice a year, it lines up with this viewing spot and Mount Canigou. And as the sun moves away, it starts to backlight Mount Canigou, which is right here the whole time. And this right up here, the very top, right there, should be over a mile below a physical curve, but it's not. Now, the globers will go, well, the sun already set, even though you can feel the heat blasting on your face, and the mountain is already over the curve. It's just magically refracting up. And even though the light can't reach you bouncing off the mountain, when the sun goes behind the mountain and it mirages and it pops up and it goes to eye level and stops, and then you see this imaginary image which can block the sun. This is the official story. Again, a fifth grader would go, you're lying, you're fibbing, this is nonsense. Why are you teaching me lies? This is right there. This proves that the Earth is either 1,000 times bigger than they tell us, or it's flat.
Okay, so what if the Earth is 1,000 times bigger?
It doesn't work, because there is no curvature. Even if it was 1,000 times bigger, there would be curvature. There would be curvature. There's curvature on a basketball. There's curvature on a moon, on 1,000 miles. The bigger it is, there's curvature. There is no curvature. Large bodies of water are restly flat. You can't have a high pressure system next to an infinite vacuum. Doesn't work. Okay. All of this stuff. There's scientific proof. The ball is scientifically impossible.
So is the moon real?
You tell me.
Is,
I don't know.
is it round? Is it made of rock? Is it a light?
Well, let's analyze that. It is a light because we can see it. Would you agree?
I would say that
It
light bounce seems to bounce off of it.
is this ball. Is that a sphere? Well, it's not. How about this one? Is this one a sphere?
I've seen this one
All
before. This is
right.
pretty good.
It
This is pretty
looks
good.
it looks like a
It looks
sphere.
like a sphere. Correct.
It
It
looks
does.
like a sphere, but you can't tell because if you can't touch it, you don't know how big it is. You don't know anything if you can't touch it. All right. Again, not a sphere. Big problem. All right. If you can't measure it and touch it, you can't tell the difference. Are these tables the same width and the same length?
I can't lie because I've seen this before.
They're not.
So I know the answer, but
right. The answer is they're exactly the same. So when you ask me what shape is the moon, it's circular. I kind of think that it is spherical, but I don't believe that it's a physical object because when there's a new moon, nobody has ever seen it for up to 60, most like between 42 and 60 hours. I think 42 was the quickest anyone ever saw it. It might be 60 hours, 2 full days. No one sees the moon. No one can photograph it from a high flying balloon, spacecraft, nothing. When there's a new moon, nobody can see it. When there's total eclipse of the sun's blotted out by the moon, full Earth shining back on the moon, nobody with any telescope, any infrared camera, anything can see the friggin' moon. So what is the moon? I don't know.
but you think it is a sphere though?
I don't know.
Possibly.
I don't know. Like if someone said, hey, I think that personally, I think that the sun and the moon that we see are within the firmament, above, higher than firmament we can go, and that their light is being manifested down here. Okay.
So can we see that video? Can we see the video of that being inside and how it creates day and night that goes around?
Yeah, I'll show you that in a second. But
flatter.
Here I have this sheet hanging here represents the atmosphere, and there's a light 10 feet on the other side of it. And I asked Paige, I said, where do you see the sun? She sees it from her point of view right there. But when I'm standing over to the right, I see it over here. So we're seeing the same sun in 2 different places. Okay. And I believe that's how we see the sun and the moon and the stars, because we sent a balloon up in Arizona at nighttime, and we had the cameras facing up. And before it even took off, star-filled sky. So as it gets higher and higher, those stars are going to get brighter and brighter in the heliocentric model, but they didn't. They all disappeared by 50,000 feet. All of the stars were gone at 50,000 feet. What's going on there?
Good question.
Yeah. Well, your heliocentric model is not going on there. What's going on there? We can try to figure that out. I think that, you have to be down here on Earth to see those things in the sky, and that we have a relationship with every single one of them. Stars and planets, right? They're called planets. They used to be called wandering stars. All of this ties into astrological information, and it's all connected to us way beyond anything that even the best astrologers can explain. Right?
So can we show them how a 24-hour day works? There we go.
No, this is different. This. If you saw this in person, there's like literally a ball. It looked just like the sun floating around in free space inside of here. And all I'm doing is taking my iPhone light and moving it over the top. So the light is the source of the sun, and we're seeing it inside of our own atmospheric dome. Pretty interesting. So you wanted to see the day and the night. I got this also. This is a glass dome on a floor, and I'm just taking a pen light and I'm bringing it across. And inside the dome, again, another perfectly spherical sun. It moves over, and then it goes down right to the horizon, and then it stops, and it fades away. It never goes below the horizon, but if you were on the inside of that, it would look like it's rising, and then it would look like it sets. But it's really, the source is just moving across the top. Okay. if you let me show you this one. This is showing, if these are your personal atmospheric dome, which I was explaining. As the sun moves, everyone inside of their dome of vision sees the sun. This intersection point is where they see the sun, and it's at a different spot. It's noon right there. It's the afternoon here. It's evening over here, right? Coming back, noon here, noon here, noon here, noon here. Well, not yet. Noon right there. And so this is, afternoon. This is early morning. And as the sun goes around, everybody in their position, in their time zone, will see the sun in a different position, because we all see the sun relative to our own position. And there's actually, there's some people out there that argue, you don't know that the sun goes in a circle. Well, I think we just discovered some new information that I really can't explain here. But if you have the app and you look at yesterday's or the day before's video, what happened here? My iTunes just went on. Hold on. It shows how, depending on your latitude, how the sun and the moon wagon wheel in some places, and some places they don't. And if you actually model that, it shows that you're either at an inner northern latitude or an outer southern latitude, and the rotation is different. I actually think that we can use this information to prove 100% that the sun and the moon circle around the North Pole at the center of the flat Earth.
So how do time zones work in flat Earth then? Does that make more sense on flat Earth?
100%. So
okay.
So here we go. Let me go back. So the sun is the hour hand. It's going around wherever the sun is. It's noon. It's noon in Western Australia right now, right? And wherever the sun is, it's noon. The sun keeps track of the hours and the days, right? The sun is rising in Johannesburg, South Africa. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock, and now it's 12 noon. Bam. And now the sun's rising on the East Coast in America. It's early in the morning. It's 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., right? And it's coming around and it's lighting me up. Now the sun is out near that outer yellow line, which is the Tropic of Capricorn. And we're having our winter while the outer lands are having their summer, right? That sun is going to go right over Australia. And on December 21st is the heat of their summer. Where are you located? What state?
Idaho.
You're in Idaho. So do you ever get summer?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So in June,
nice summers.
Their weather now is like June. Well, it's not quite that warm. Like it's June and July in Miami. Okay. Right. So if I jump the sun forward 6 months, it moves all the way into the Tropic of Cancer. Now it's closer to us in the center. And so closer means higher, just like a street light that's closer to us is higher in the sky versus the one down the street, which is lower in the sky. Closer, more intense, longer days. And wherever the sun is, that's where we see the sun. That's where we see, that's where our seasons come from and our time zone. So question you might be asking is, where would that be? I'm spacing on, sunsets. Here we go. So have you seen my flat Earth kitchen? You must have.
I think so.
Well, okay. So I'm not going to show it. How's that?
No, let's show it.
So here's my flat Earth kitchen. Yep. Here's the path of the sun. This is a level line. Okay. And I'm showing you from a celestial point of view. I got a camera up as high as the sun, and it's moving across my flat counter. And this could be a city skyline. It could be mountains. It could just be a cloud deck. It's opaque and the sun never goes below it. Now I have another camera on the other end on the counter watching the same thing as the sun goes away. I'm going to show it to you. Look at the line. If I asked you if this was a level line, you would say, no, it's going down. And if I asked you, is the sun going below this opaque barrier? And you'd be like, well, yes, it is. And this opaque barrier looks like it's at my eye level, but I'm really well below it. It's just because in the distance, everything compresses into the horizon. Look at this line now. It almost looks like it's going straight down, but it's a level line. So this is the sun setting behind the cloud deck or the mountain ridge. So here it is over here. This is the real sunset. Look at it. Mm-hmm. So in the exact same thing, it's just going away beyond our field of view. Okay. Watch it again. This is going straight and level. Looks like it's going down, and it's going behind that barrier, and you think that's going behind the curve of the Earth, and it's not.
If that doesn't mess a few of you up right there, there's something wrong with you. That's all.
Right here, you want to really get messed up. So this is, you've seen my sun fade out. So yep. I got my drone up filming super dry, below freezing, no humidity, no chemtrails, nothing in the sky. And the sun in 5 minutes time went down, 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 down. And it should have just kept on going if we're spinning, but it didn't. It went down, 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 down. And it stopped, just like in that glass dome that I showed you. And it sat here. This is super sped up. And instead of dropping down, it should have been dropped down a long time ago. It just faded out because even the brightness of the sun couldn't push through that much atmosphere. It's still there. We just can't see it. It faded out. Filmed it 7 different times.
You gotta love this guy. I'm telling you, I don't care what you believe. This is some good stuff.
It's not about believing. Belief is the enemy of knowing.
Okay. I think it's fascinating. I'm ready to take some live calls. So if you're good with that, David, I'll take it. So listen, folks, I want to take your questions, but do not be disrespectful. We're not here to try to push anybody one way or another. So
no, yes, we are.
I'm not. So
no, I'm pointing towards some doors.
Guys,
I always tell people, don't believe what I'm saying. Go check it out yourself. Verify it yourself. Go ahead.
Now, you guys will have to forgive me. It's been a minute since we've used Zoom, so I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to try to drop it in chat up here. We'll see what happens. It's been a minute since I've used this, so be patient with me tonight. I'd love to take your guys' calls.
If anybody that wants to get the app, it's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. If you can point your phone right here, if you're watching this on a computer, you can scan it. It's $3, one-time charge, okay? And there is a subscription that you do not have to do. I'll show you what the subscription gets you. If you click the friend finder, the handshake, this shows you all of the other flat earthers that are around here. And I could tap on a dot, and I could actually send that person a message, or I have it set to 50 kilometers. And in 50 kilometers, there's 250 people. I can send a group message like, hey, I'm having a meetup at Joe's Bar and Grill, Saturday, 2 p.m., 123 Main Street. Now, the only thing the subscription gets you, which is $11 for the year. So you're buying me a margarita and you're only leaving $1 tip for the bartender. So you're kind of cheap, but it allows you to send messages. But if you don't subscribe, you still get messages. So somebody sends out a meetup, or someone sends you a message, they can just include their email address in case you're not a subscriber, and then you can communicate that way, or their Telegram. So this is joining people up. There's flat earthers everywhere. If I go over to, let's say, United Kingdom, bam, look at all the flat earthers over there. And it only shows you what's in the circle because there's just too many dots to process. Gotcha. And again, there's people getting married already because of this, because anyone that's a flat earther, every dot on here is your best friend, male or female, best friend, because you all have the same thing. You all know that this is nonsense. You all know that the freaking spinning globe is nonsense. You're all on the same page. You have more in common with every one of these dots than any dating site, social site, any party you go to, any random person you meet. You have more in common with every single one of these dots.
Let's send out a message across flat earth that all of them should jump over here and watch the show tonight. Can we do that?
I can't send a message to everybody, but you know what? I don't care about any of these dots because they already know. I want to find the people that are not on here. Right. That's why I can go on flat earth shows and talk to flat earthers all day, but I'm like, you guys already know. Like, you know what happens when there was a new guy that showed up in my town. I messaged him. I'm like, let's meet at the coffee shop. We didn't talk about flat earth. Okay. We didn't, because we already know. We already know.
Well, we got 3 people in the waiting room, so let's go ahead and bring them in, David.
Let's do it.
So first one's Craig. This is Craig the Hunter, friend of ours.
Okay.
Where are you at?
Okay, are you bringing them on video? Joining. There we go.
You there, Craig?
Yeah.
And yes, sir. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, we can. How you doing, brother?
How you doing, buddy? Wait, let me start video.
Yes. I appreciate anybody that's going to ask questions if they could be on video.
Okay. First, I got a buddy who's diehard flat Earth.
I love
You
him
may even,
already.
you might even know him, Mark Steven Hollander. So I
I
don't
know
know
the
if you know
name.
Mark
Sounds very
Hollander.
familiar.
He's part of Flat Earth Radio, Ferret Radio. Shout out to them, Rick Lowtech. But anyway, he's been telling us this stuff for years. And also, a lot of the conspiracy stuff that he told us is actually come true. So we've already seen that with the everything we've been through. But there's so many points that are interesting. Like, for example, can you talk about the lunar, how it's cooler? The moon is almost a cooling light. It's not
almost a cooling light. It is a cooling light. So the
it,
sun, when you magnify it, it gets hot. When you magnify moonlight, it gets cold. But in the moonlight versus the shade of the moon, it's warmer in the shade. Now, here's the problem. There's a million ways to do this experiment and get a false positive. People like put a piece of cardboard over the ground to give you shade. Well, that cardboard's insulating the ground, and you're going to get a warmer reading. But if you do it properly, there is a significant difference. And if you magnify that moonlight, it gets colder. So I don't like leading with that, because there's 100 people could do the test, and 90 of them could show that it's colder, and 85 of them did it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. But it makes sense with the septic and antiseptic. If you look at like rotting animals and stuff, it's nighttime, gives them that moisture that lets them rot, and the sunlight dries them out.
I haven't tested fire. It's like if you have a campfire, they don't burn as well in the sunlight. They burn better in moonlight, but when the sun on a fire suppresses it somewhat. I haven't proved that. I heard that. It makes sense. I just don't know how to test it.
And here's one thing too that should shock everyone. Flat Earth has been removed from the internet. That was the first thing censored from YouTube.
Well, that was they talked about it at the fake news Senate hearings. They brought it up as an example, right? They're telling us all the time. Now they haven't removed it because right now all of the videos on my app are on YouTube, but you can't find them if you search, planets, flat Earth, or just anything that has flat Earth in a sentence. You get the same exact results every time, or almost the same results, and it's all propaganda. It's Simon Dan, it's Professor Dave, which is the #1 hit. It's these just horrible shills.
Yes.
So it's hard to find the information. That's why my app bypasses all of that and gets you the good information. Every day, new featured video. And I tell people is just watch a featured video every day for 2 weeks. And then you too will lose the respect of your family and friends because you'll be a flat earther.
Yeah, well, and look, I almost got that because this was about 4 years ago. And we were talking to, and I talked to my dad about it. And oh, by the way, thanks, Mike, for the prayers and everything. My father passed away this morning. So just out, just random. But anyway, when I asked him about this, I said, Dad, what do you think about this? He said, I could give a shit less. I could care less. He was really, he could care less about it. And I was like, all right, I understand. He's old, he's been on, they've pushed all this, and there's definitely something going on. We've been deceived for sure. NASA, I think that is Hebrew for deceive or decept or something like that.
Deceive.
So we went down this road, and people really, even just asking about it, they're like, are you a fool? But Eric Dubé was one that we were, I think he's like in Thailand or something. He had to like leave wherever he's from.
I don't know if he had to leave, but he decided to go to Thailand. Not a bad call. Considering what's going on right now, maybe he figured it out. But Eric puts out some great work. He also sometimes doesn't play nice with others, but we all have our issues.
Well, and I just mentioned him. That was one we had been shown, but he made so many great points.
He did.
That are, and you ask a pilot, hey, how many times do you adjust for the curvature of the Earth? And they'll tell you they never do. They never do.
So, Craig, I appreciate the call. I got other callers.
I know. I'll let you go, Mike. I'm sorry, Mike.
Here's the question. Here's the question. Flat or round?
Oh gosh.
Flat or round?
I'm going to say
your head right now.
It's a half. It's like a basketball cut in half. So it's not
It's like a
full
football.
balloon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a half of
Maybe
a
a
ball.
football. Okay.
It's like one of them
right.
bouncy things.
Right.
Love y'all.
Sorry about your father.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries. It's all good.
Right.
Love y'all.
All right, brother. I'll be in contact later.
Okay, bro.
You see how deep the indoctrination is? It's so hard for to let go of the ball. It's literally like trying to take a ball away from a child. Okay.
Here we go with the next caller. This is we'll just go 99. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, 99.
99 is Lord.
Prime time 99. Is that what I'm seeing there? His audio is connecting.
There you are. We should be able to hear you now.
Can you guys see me? It's Primetime 99, Alex Stein. Okay, I want to say I love the show. You know, David Weiss is a master. He knows exactly what he's talking about. And so you just, Craig was being a little ingenuous. So if he knows that a pilot doesn't have to tilt, his airplane down, he would go into space. It doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't make any sense. So I want to ask you, what is your position? Are you a flat earther yet after listening to David's, presentation?
No, I am not.
You gotta be kidding me. So you think we still live on a ball made of water?
I'm still there. I'm still
but
there.
He can't Alex, he can't give us a reason why though. He just believes it.
Let me just get here. What about the 1969 to 1972 Apollo moon missions? What do you think about those? Do you believe that we went to the moon?
I believe in the beginning we probably did not go to the moon.
Well, we didn't. I'm telling you, you can look into it. Just the simplicity of this. We can't even remanufacture the rockets that went to space, but we can't we can't even reproduce the suits. And as well as the suits, they tell us in the atmosphere on the moon that in the sunlight, it's 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and you go in the shade, it's negative 200 degrees. And they had technology where astronauts could go around on the surface of the moon and play golf and be able to transition through this Fahrenheit difference of nearly 400 degrees. Yet they can't recreate that today. Yet when the astronauts came back and they had to do press photos because they had to do, they had to fake it in the suits, a lot of them had injuries on their hands because the hand mechanism of the suit didn't fit right. So people had, they had like, if you wear boots, you have blisters and sores in your hands. So you're telling me they had the most technologically advanced suits of all time, but they can't even get the thumb part to work. Give me a break. They didn't go to the moon, but that's all I got to say. David's right. It is hard because of the cognitive dissonance. You don't want to accept that you've been lied to. It's easier to lie somebody than it is to convince them that they have been lied. So that's the problem we're having here. But I'm telling you, once you realize the machinations of the heliocentric model are basically impossible, it really will open your eyes that they're lying to us what's really happening. But David's a man.
I have no problem saying we've been lied to, and I have no problem trying to learn. I just I'm not there yet.
I feel you. It's hard. It is hard because I went kicking and screaming. I don't like to call
I'm
myself
a stubborn son of a bitch. I'm a stubborn son of a bitch.
And it's a goofy concept for most people because it is so negatively talked about from such a young age. You know what I mean? It's so strong, the cognitive dissonance, that you just can't accept it because it's so hardwired in your brain at such a young age. You really can't flip that switch. Like it says, let's flip the switch. That's a hard switch to flip. But it comes down to this. Do you believe that we evolved from pond scum?
Oh, hell no.
Exactly. Right. So, once you realize that we didn't evolve from nothing, that the Big Bang Theory that was created by a Jesuit priest is false. But they teach that in science like, oh, that's really how we got here. A bunch of astronauts, a bunch of rocks hit each other and then form perfect balls that all, perfectly work like a clock. The sun, moon, and stars literally work like a clock in the sky. And this is all accidental. It's very non-linear in the explanation. So it doesn't make sense.
How about the fact that the guy that landed on the moon became a drunk and they changed his name to Buzz, right? And he has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, okay? For being an actor-naut.
The moon landings are so fake. They're not even close.
Yeah. I don't disagree with some of that, gentlemen. So I got a couple more callers I'd like to get to.
Let's do it.
So I appreciate the call.
Bye, Alex.
See ya.
All right, let's bring in, this ought to be a good one, Trash Panda. And then Melissa, you're next. So just wait there, Melissa. I'll bring you in. I'll bring you in a minute. I want to make sure everybody has a chance to ask questions or make comments. So just hang on in there, Melissa. We'll get to you next. So this is Ron. How you doing, Ron?
Pretty good. Do you see my new name?
Yeah, Trash Panda. That's pretty good. So do you have comment or question, Ron?
Well, I've got some comments, okay? If anybody really wants to know what the earth is shaped as, and everybody who believes, read Genesis again.
Page
and
1.
It tells you. Read the book of Genesis. It tells you. We're supposed to believe it, so why isn't people believing it?
Page 1 of the Bible, God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament above.
Okay. I don't know why people are having a hard time trying to get this. You know, I mean, I'm still asking the big question of why were there film crews on the moon if only 2 people landed on it? And one of the guys who landed on the first one said, the 3 of us are fine, but who's up in the space capsule orbiting the moon? Okay. Slip of the tongue, maybe.
Oh, I never heard that one. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Part of Ron Braun, the Nazi scientist that was brought over to run NASA, his gravestone says Psalms 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Okay, that's exactly. Our rocket scientist is talking about the firmament in Genesis. What's up with that? And just to make it worse, in 1950 something, he wrote this book called Project Mars about a group of people that went to Mars and started a colony, and the leader of that colony was named Elon.
Yep.
Predictive programming. This is Elon's rocket that he wants to take to Mars, and he said he wants to make it pointier.
It looks just like the one on the. Yeah.
He wants to make it pointier. He said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're rubbing it in our faces.
There's a lot of inconsistencies with what NASA has said, but the only thing NASA ever said right was never a straight answer. Yeah, I mean, they say there's all kinds of things up there that we have circling the Earth and all this other, billions of different things that are busted up and satellites and everything. Why aren't those things pinging off the ground? Is it really the fact that all that crap is up there outside circling the Earth, or is it just circling around the firmament?
Exactly.
Good points, Ron. I got to get to the next caller, so thanks for calling in.
All right, thanks.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, let's get to Melissa before we lose her.
Let's do it.
Welcome, Melissa, to Liberty Warrior. How are you?
Her audio is still connecting.
Is it? I don't see it.
It takes a second.
There
she is. Hold on.
It's Missy. It's Missy.
Missy. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, yeah. She's
there we go. You're on, Missy.
On the show. How's it going, Missy?
Good. How are you guys?
Nice. You got a comment or question?
I have a question. As a pilot, so how high, what altitude does the firmament go up to?
That's a great question. And the only answer that we really have is about 73 miles. The Go Fast rocket, which is was an independent rocket put up by Red Bull. This rocket went straight up, and it gave us an uninterrupted feed. And it went up straight up, unlike NASA curving out. And when it went up about 73 miles, all of a sudden it went kerplunk. It made like this noise, like a rock going into a pond, right? But I don't think it was water. I think it was a thicker medium. And that was at 73 miles, okay? And another amazing thing that happened here. Now, there's a question. It's like, why did it stop spinning? Why did it make that noise? Why did it stop moving so fast? And it sure sounded like it went into something. But another thing that happened is when it turned on its side, we see this little dot here. That's the moon. And the moon was over New Zealand. And this happened in Arizona, right? Arizona is on the top of a basketball and New Zealand is on the bottom. The only way you could possibly see the moon is if the earth is flat.
Okay.
Here's a question
That's
for you.
interesting.
Here's a question for you real quick. Spaceship Challenger, when it blew up, was it because of the rockets or was it because it hit the firmament?
It wasn't high enough for the firmament.
That is a
It was
false
O-ring.
That was a false dichotomy. The Challenger, the Challenger went up to on the Challenger loss. Challenger on the oops, what is going on here? Someone you sharing?
I'm sharing screen real quick. Yeah. This was sent to me.
That was the first time that that TVs were rolled into every classroom in the United States. Okay.
Yeah.
And so the Challenger, I believe that this was to trauma-based mind control the children, to kick the can down the road for another couple decades on, because they were promising us hotels in space in the 1970s and 80s and 90s. And they just keep kicking the can down the road. But what happened to those astronauts? Okay. Well, we found 6 of the 7 of them. They have identical twins, they say. And those identical twins all work for universities. And they have the same name. They talk the same. They sound the same. And they all of them are claiming that they're the identical twins of their astronaut counterpart. The problem is none of their twins showed up at any of their funerals. Now, yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem.
That's a big problem. Tyler, hold on. We'll get to you next. So be patient, Tyler. We got another one in the waiting room.
All right. So you said like 72 miles.
Well, that's the best guess that we have. And it might be different in different areas. That it might be lower in the north and the south and higher at the equator. Again, anything that is above where we can reach, we don't know. And when you see the representations of the flat Earth with a dome, you have this big high dome. I think that dome is representing our personal atmospheric dome. I think if the sky is sealed, I think it's flat. It's very flat. Maybe it's curved a little bit, but if you look at the map of the world, the flat Earth map, if it's at 72 miles, that thing is literally like a millimeter above the map, right? Going all the way across, it would look almost flat. So I don't think we have this big high dome like that. I think our sky is very, very close. So, okay. This is our map, right? This is the best map that we have. Okay. And so if it's 73 miles, well, look at the United States. Think how long 73 miles is. It's like a quarter of a millimeter. So if you put a dome over it, it would only be a quarter of a millimeter high. It doesn't really look like the depictions that we show when we show a model. And again, it's just a model with a big high dome.
Sure. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to get to the next
Thank
caller.
You.
So Missy, gun to the head, flat or round?
I still got to go with round.
Okay.
And that might still just be the mind control stuff. It might be, I don't know, but I still got to go with round.
Well, 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. Try it. Try to get it. Here,
be rich.
Missy. So here's the thing. The comments of my trolls are going to show up to say I'm a scammer. My app doesn't work. Just go read the reviews on the app. Just go look what other people are saying. Get the app, and then every day while you're having your breakfast, just hit that daily video. At 8:01 a.m. Eastern, a new video shows up every day, and just watch 1 video a day. And if you like, hey, that's interesting, watch the next video that comes up, because guess who's suggesting it? Not Google, not YouTube, me. Okay, so you're gonna get good videos. And then if you're like, well, what about eclipses? Well, go to the question mark and hit it. But what about eclipses? And start watching those videos. Turn off your TV. Most of you probably don't even watch TV because
I don't watch TV.
Yeah, thank God. But there's all of this information. Like when you have, a break during the day, when you kick back on the couch, break out the app, hit one of the buttons, start watching the videos, and you're going to become more aware of the world. And the more aware of the world you are, the more of your power that you take back. Okay.
I agree with that.
This is about taking your power away. People go, it's $3 for an app. I don't pay for apps. Go read the reviews. $3. You ever buy anybody a beer, right? Beer in a bar, it's more than $3. It's, I don't think you can get a $3 beer anymore. And you have it forever. Okay. It's the cheapest, best thing ever. People are saying I could have charged $50 for the app. I don't want that. I want people to have the app. Okay. I quit my own job to do this full time to help people like you break away from the ball, because if you're in the ball, you're in a prison, and that prison is the globe. There's more. You are more, right? And once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? What state are you located in?
Ohio.
You're in Ohio, right? It's not too far. South Carolina, we've been having conferences down there. The next one either might be there, Karen, I know you're listening, there, or it might be in Las Vegas in the spring. So most awesome time anyone could ever have anywhere. And then there's also meetups happening all the time. There's one going on over Christmas and New Year's, or over New Year's, I think, in Florida. So if anyone's in Florida.
So were you saying this is also a dating app?
Well, people are using it to meet other people. Here's the problem. Here's the problem.
2 for 1. 2 for 1.
People are, you're looking for like-minded people. Like I go out into normie world. It's also known as zombie land. It's like, what the hell am I going to talk to these people about? They're all talking about when they're going to get their next, B, right? And I'm like, these people are completely mental. But you talk to any of the blue dots, they're all awake and aware, and the most amazing people. So talk about friends. All those blue dots are my friends. All of those blue dots are my friends.
Nice. That's great. Yeah. Missy, I got to get to the next caller. I got to stack it up. All right.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Let's bring Tyler in. Tyler Clark. And Shane's in the waiting room. Shane, I'll get to you next. So as soon as he finds his mic there, Tyler, welcome to the show.
Tyler should turn on his camera too. Tyler's muted. There you go.
Thanks so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Tyler, you're on.
All right, let's bring Tyler in. Tyler Clark.
Tyler, you got to turn off your YouTube feed.
Shane's in the waiting room. Shane, I'll get to you next. So as soon as he finds his mic there.
Can you hear me now?
You can, but you got to turn off your YouTube
feed. Yeah, but
feed.
you'll have to kill the YouTube feed.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, it shows it.
He doesn't have the sound
everything on
through.
You can't hear me?
You got to turn your Zoom preferences audio to your speakers.
Oh, that's what it is. Hold up.
Wait, he can hear me. Can you hear me?
Is that what it is? Can you guys hear me now?
I hear you the whole time.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me now?
All right.
Yeah, we hear you, brother.
All right. It happens.
It's all good.
Probably a global.
I work with people all the time. It's not a big deal. All right. Well, we'll grab Shane, and when Tyler comes back in, we'll bring him back in. We'll see if Shane remembers how to use his Zoom here. So Shane's part of the show, just so you know, David. He's followed you and other flat earthers. He's got a pretty good knowledge base here. So how you doing, Shane?
What's up, Shane? All right. It happens.
It's all good. Probably. I work with people all the time.
It's not a big deal. You got to turn off your feed and listen through Zoom.
We'll grab Shane, and when Tyler comes back in, we'll bring him back in.
Shane, turn off your YouTube and listen through Zoom.
So Shane's part of the show, just so you know, David. He's followed you and other flat earthers. Train wreck. Knowledge base here. So how you doing, Shane? What's up, Shane?
Hang on, I still got something open here.
It's all good. Probably. I work with people all
Close your internet browser. You got to turn off your feed and listen through Zoom.
We'll grab Shane, and when Tyler comes back in, we'll bring him back in.
Shane,
turn off your YouTube and listen through Zoom.
All right. We have
I'm
another
going to have to jump out because I have another computer.
Okay.
It happens.
Now we can't hear it,
Can you
Shane.
hear me now?
Yes.
Yep. Yep. We can hear you.
All right. Yeah, I had Mother. Remember, I can't do it with Mother monitor plugged in. I had to get it out. And then the sound was still coming through. And this one was buried in the back. But anyway. Oh, no, I forgot my damn question. But anyway, no.
We got time, Shane. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll be here all night.
One thing is, if I'm not going to say either way for me, I'm not going to give anybody the pleasure of that. But I am going to say this: if a person was to, let's say I was supposedly able to prove it was round, I wouldn't want 3 Bitcoins. I'd want 3 Bitcoin shares, but 3 Bitcoins are useless. They're worthless. The actual coin.
I'll give you 3 Bitcoins of value. How's that?
I don't know what they're at. What, $46,000 a piece?
50 grand, whatever it is.
So
Don't worry, you're not getting them because the Earth is not a sphere. So, I'm
No,
open to it, though. I'm open to it. Show me proof. I've been looking for 6 years.
Well, trust me, I dove into this years and years and years ago too. And I used to watch a lot of people. I've watched even the people long before you were doing this. And I went out when I was out the ocean. I even tried to experiment with binoculars and a telescope. Watch a ship disappear, you pull it back with binoculars. When it disappears with binoculars, you pull it up with the telescope. So that kind of said, hey, there's something to this. Now, all the experiment, I even did the one where you can measure that the sun supposedly is 93,000 miles away. And I took if you take and you look at the sun rays come through clouds, they come in and they taper out and down. Well, if the sun was as big as it was and it covers that much of let's say the United States all at once, those rays wouldn't come down like this. They would come straight down. But the closer the sun is, the more the rays ray out, because that means the sun is actually closer than what they predict. So I went through all that and I did the experiment. You can take a piece of cardboard, punch a bunch of holes in it, turn off all the lights, hold a flashlight up, way up high. That light comes through straight down. The closer you get that flashlight to that piece of cardboard, the more the rays come out. So, there's experiments you can do, but does that prove it's flat? Does it prove it's round? Not necessarily, but there is experiments you can do that could prove it could be either way. No one can ever, I don't think anybody can ever say whether it's truly round or flat.
Well,
because there's ways to prove that it could be flat.
You can prove that it could be flat, absolutely.
Correct.
But you can also prove that it can't be a sphere.
Well, and goes back to, because I use that magnet trick on a flat map on there too, and I tried to show all my family. I said, no, you ain't going to go around. Well, that magnet's going to or your compass going to show due north no matter what. That magnet's going to pull it towards you. So yes, I've always thought that too, but it's one of those deals.
On a sphere, the only place that you can go east-west without turning is on the equator. Because if you're north of the equator, you have to keep turning to the north to maintain your heading of 270 or 90. If you're south of the equator on a sphere, you have to keep correcting to the south. But there's ships captains in the south that are saying when they're trying to dead reckon 90 or 270, they always have to correct to the north. They'll be going for like an hour and they'll look at their compass. They're like, why is the ship turning? And they got to keep turning. It's not turning. It's the direction is turning. East and west.
Well, I know the lines that go north and south, supposedly north and south.
Those are straight.
If they follow one of them, because there was a guy did an experiment 10 years ago, and he got in a boat, and the further he went south on this line of, what was that, longitude? Is that what that's called? It goes north and south. It goes from the
longitude.
Yeah. The further he went south on that, the further off that line of longitude he got. And he said he was like 37 degrees off of that line when he got to his furthest point south that he was going.
Right. Do you know who controls those lines? NASA. So I believe that those lines actually veer off in some parts of the ocean, cutting out big pizza-shaped swaths of ocean that are uncharted. Remember the flight, the Malaysian flight that disappeared? All the ships were looking for it. One or two of the ships disappeared off the GPS. They were just gone for like a day or two. And I believe they went into that uncharted water and then they came back out of it. And the only way to go into that uncharted water is to ignore the GPS, ignore your compass, and head into it. But they're not going to allow you to. Right?
Well, I remember that story, and they said their GPS and their compass wasn't working because it was a digital compass, and they had quit on their way out. That's why they was gone for, what was it, 47 hours?
Maybe all of the there was a whole bunch of like some scientists that were into some cool stuff that were on that flight. Maybe they were all making a run for it, trying to get to the Iron Republic. Maybe.
All right, let's take one more call real quick, guys.
All right, thanks for the call.
Tyler's back. We'll let Shane stay with us.
Okay.
Here's Tyler. We'll see what Tyler has to add to the conversation. I don't see.
And while we're waiting for Tyler, in 10 minutes, I think we'll be done in 10 minutes. We'll be done in 10 minutes.
Yep.
Strange World with Mark Sargent and Karen B is going to be on Rockfin on YouTube on the Karen B channel. Check it out. If you want to get some more Flat Earth when we're done, you could call in and talk to Mark Sargent and ask him some questions.
There we go. That's awesome. Welcome, Tyler.
I think I'm in. Finally.
There.
Tyler,
there
you're in.
We got you.
Hey, I'm not a...
Go for it.
I feel like I'm not a rookie. But anyway, I'm going to be very short and quick because not biased. I've been following David forever. I got my whole family on. I bought 5 of my family members the whole app yesterday for Christmas presents, whatever.
Nice.
This is all I do. I've been doing the Tataria stuff.
Are your family members not Flat Earthers yet?
So we've been in conspiracies for probably like 8 to 10 years, ever since the Obama era. And so we've been following little things. And as we've been following it, Flat Earth was like the end point where it was like, wow, this makes more sense to us more than ever before.
Right. So what I recommend for families to do, well, you guys sound like you're all pretty much on board, but if you got someone that says, I'm not on board, but what do you got? Get them the app and then say every day, just watch the daily video. I try to do short ones during the week and then just have a conversation about that instead of sports and weather. Say, hey, let's talk about that video today. Let's watch it together. And you have your little mini book club or your video club and just one video a day. And that's all it takes. Then you're toast.
I would agree. So, David, I do have one question for you, though, because I've been doing this for a very long time. I feel like I'm immersed. But at the end of the day, when you get here where you are and all of us, when we follow along, right, what's the next step? Because I know at the end of the day, there's not much we can do, right? We don't have the money for the permits to go to Antarctica. We don't have the little things that we can do to prove this or that. But there's got to be something that if we build enough of a community to prove something, to at least get that knowledge, what's that next step? Have you thought of that? I feel like you have because this is your life.
Well, there's different tests that we've come up with that can prove curvature. You know, one of my favorite tests is, and it wouldn't cost that much, is to get and we tried it once with some line, but it broke. You get a 3-mile piece of line that's neutrally buoyant, and you find a stretch of lake or something, calm lake, and you have pulleys on each end, and you crank it tight. Now, a line in the air will sag, even no matter what it is, no matter what kind of line it is, it'll sag. But neutrally buoyant line that could slightly sink, you pull it tight across the top of the water, and if it stays a millimeter under the water all the way across, that proves that the Earth is flat. Over that 3-mile stretch, there should be 24 inches or something. There should be a significant curve. In the middle, it should be this far under the water. But if it skims the surface the whole way, that would absolutely prove that there's no sphericity to the water. And that's not too hard to do. Another one to do would be to, if enough people wake up, we could say, people like, we want to know the answer. You can do 2 flights around Antarctica. You'd have to get, again, governments would have to agree. Mm-hmm. And one plane goes one way, one plane goes the other, just 1,000 feet off the ground, follow the shoreline, and they should meet 7,000 miles on the other side. but it's not. It's like 60 to 80,000 miles. So we know that will never happen. But again, even, I have enough proof. I know the Earth isn't a globe. And if you get enough people here and enough people waking up, everyone that wakes up, every one of those blue dots is disconnected. We've unplugged ourselves from the Matrix. We are Neo at the end of the movie, not Neo confused and lost at the beginning of the Matrix. We are all unplugged. We have stopped giving our power away, and we've taken our lives back. And it's amazing. 2020 and 2021, best years ever. Sounds crazy, right? I mean, the world's completely falling apart, but not for me. Okay. So I think that everybody can get here. This entire insanity could be gone before Christmas. Okay. It could be gone before tomorrow if people just woke up and said, no, just no. So that's what Flat Earth does. Flat Earth wakes you up to the reality. I used to wake people up to the New York event, the Connecticut school event, and the running event in Massachusetts. I called it Exposing the Big Three. And I said, just people wake up to that, then they'll see, and they just went right back to sleep. They're like, well, the different administration, blah, 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 right? But when you wake someone up to Flat Earth, there's no going back. Once you see flat, you cannot go back, right? So again, and that's a slightly different subject. If you're in a relationship and your significant other is not a flat earther, good news. You've got the upper hand, because if they're intelligent and they love you, you can show them. They'll wake up. But the bad news for them is you're never going back to the ball. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So again, Flat Earth is the light coming into the room. You can't go into a room with darkness and distinguish the light, but you can go into a dark room with a little bit of light and distinguish the darkness.
So your comment about being Neo at the end of the journey, I'm going to be Liberty Warrior Neo, but I'm still not going to make a decision on it. But I'm wide awake. I just not sold on the flat Earth yet.
You're holding onto your ball like a little boy. Don't take
just like David always said.
Don't take my ball away.
The common sense of what we feel like is everything stationary. Nothing moves. Just go out and look in the atmosphere. I agree. Guys, thank you so much. It was good to meet you, Dave.
See ya.
I appreciate you guys.
All right. Thanks, Tyler. Go ahead, Shane.
I got a question for you. What do you make of all the heads of all the countries in the world showing up back, what was that, 14, 15, to Antarctica, all for some reason? The Pope was there, and even the Archdiocese, which they hadn't been together in 1,000 years.
They're all there now. You see all the big people going to Antarctica? There's meetings going in Antarctica right now. I'm sure on the 21st, the solstice, they'll be sacrificing some small children or something. Who knows what's going on there? But there's some crazy stuff going on in Antarctica now. One source we talked to this 90-year-old Army guy who was stationed in Antarctica, and the person that met this person was doing work at their house. The Army guy noticed the flat Earth sticker on her bumper and started questioning. I forget if it was a him or her. Started questioning the person about it, and they started having a little conversation. Talked about Antarctica, and then they were asking him questions about Antarctica, and he got a little nervous. And he's like, "Well, I'm not allowed to talk about it until I'm 100." He signed a non-disclosure until he's 100. Isn't that interesting? And he goes, "One thing I could tell you, that there's thousands and thousands of people living in Antarctica in cities that we don't know about. Maybe the real rulers of this world are in Antarctica, and that's what that's why." John Kerry during the election, 2 elections ago, I believe it was, he went to Antarctica. Okay. Why do these people go to Antarctica? Maybe they're getting their marching orders. Maybe that's where it is. They're puppets for the real controllers.
I'm not gonna deny that might have a little bit of merit there. So we got to wrap it up here, David. And I truly appreciate you coming on tonight. I'd love to have you come back again sometime in the future, because I want to hear more, and then we'll have more people that want to watch this too. So just for you folks who want something to do after this, hang tight. I got an announcement I want to make real quick at the end of this show. So hang on. You're gonna like it. I'm gonna do something after this show's over tonight. So, David,
You're
your
coming out
final
as a flat earther?
I don't know about that one. Your final thought for tonight. What do you want to leave as an impression on everybody who maybe this is the first time they've ever heard or seen of you?
Yeah, the thing I want to leave is don't believe anything I say. Go out and study it yourself. But if you Google flat Earth, you're going to find nothing. Okay, my app for $3 will help you learn. Okay, you'll see. Just go read the reviews. It's in Google Play. It's in the Apple App Store, and soon it'll be in the Amazon Store for those of you that have Androids that don't like Google. Check it out. Watch the videos. Learn and free yourself. Free your mind. Unplug yourself from the mind matrix. Right? It's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. That's the best way to support me, but you're really supporting yourself. Okay, it's $3. That's it. Right, and it'll help you free your mind. It's the best way to learn, and you can just point your camera right there, and there it is. Right.
Hold on. Keep it on screen.
Wait,
keep it
on
screen.
The last thing is flatearthdave.com. If anybody has a show and wants to book me, or you want to just link to my stuff there, flatearthdave.com will bring you to the flatearthpodcast.com. Flatearthdave.com. Easy to remember. Links to lots of my stuff there. And if anybody has a show, especially a show that has a host like this, that doesn't think the earth is a flat plane and that believes it's a globe, I want to talk to them. I want to have this conversation. I want to take it to the next level. So there you go.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, David. It was truly an honor and a pleasure. It was very informative. I hope people can take something away from this today, some type of knowledge, and support Dave. It's $3, one-time fee, and learn some more. And I'm gonna support you, Dave. I'm going to watch those videos. We'll have another conversation. We'll see where I'm at the next one. How's that?
All right. Thanks so much. See you guys.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
You all love the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. The best tool to show your friends and strangers how the Flat Earth actually works. But are you ready for a Flat Earth app game changer? A new feature has been added. But first, a reminder of some of the existing features. Video of the day. World time. See what time it is all around the flat Earth. A true Earth compass that shows true navigation across and around the flat Earth plane. Weather. Tap for detailed local weather information. Know what phase and where the moon is at all times. Watch the sun travel between the tropics for the seasons. Select an amazing background. Add a countdown to your next big date. Video playlists in different languages. See the real trade winds circling the flat Earth. Top 21 frequently asked questions with quick pop-up video answers. Access to the best photos and GIFs at your fingertips. Flat Earth books and merchandise, and more. Now, the game-changer upgrade we've always dreamed of having. After a year in development, our app just went next level. You're now able to find Flat Earth app users near you. See where they are and send them an instant message in the app. Instantly arrange for a Flat Earther meetup. When activated, blue dots mark the location of the app users near you. You have 3 choices on showing your location. PP, to pinpoint. This marks your exact location. CC, for city center, which will place you within a few miles of your current location. Or turn off, which removes you from the map altogether. Use it when traveling, or when you're out for a day at the beach, or while eating out somewhere. Find out where other Flat Earthers are and connect. Find like-minded Flat Earth app users and regain your sanity. The Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app is the best tool to show your friends and strangers how our Flat Earth actually works.